Welcome to Saucy Bites, the podcast serving up all things food service and kitchen innovation, from recipes to equipment and the people driving the industry forward. We bring you the flavor behind the food. Brought to you by Ovention Ovens. Hello and welcome to Saucy Bites. So this week we brought on, going to be one of my favorite guests, Chef Tim Recher. I can't begin. Look, if I could tell y'all, I went and looked at his resume. I went and looked at his bio. He's a man that's been in this business all his life. He has trained all his life. He has come much further than most chefs ever go. I mean, he's went for boundary after boundary. He's crossed them. So I would like him. Hey man, everything speaks for himself. So I'd love you go ahead and start it. Tell him a little about you, man. I see 800 medals behind him. He's got medals. He's got gold. He's got everything. But Tim, hey, tell us about you and how that is.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No, I'm real excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Hey, I don't know. I think you just I'm kind of old, so I think they just keep giving you stuff the longer you're around. No, it's been great. I love what I do. I started cooking. It's been, I think, 37 years now. It's the only job I've ever had as an adult. I've been in a professional kitchen every day since I got out of high school. And it's just been my entire life. And I think that's the thing. It's a lifestyle. It's never been a job to me. It's always been a profession. I've been fortunate, had a lot of great opportunities and met some great people, and doors open for me. And I was either naive enough or brave enough to walk through that door and take a shot at it, and taking me around the world. And I've loved every day of it. I still love pulling up to the kitchen every morning and going in and doing what I do.
Really? You still have the drive. You still have the passion.
Yeah, absolutely. Today I got to do some stuff I don't get to do all the time. And I really try to carve out time every day, or at least every week, to try to definitely cook something and make sure that I'm not just stuck in my office. I run a pretty big place and I got a lot of people working for me. So a lot of my stuff has to be a lot more strategic and a lot more planning and logistics and support and coaching, which I really love doing. But, I try to spend some time with a knife in my hand and on the line, shaking pans with my guys a lot, as much as I can.
Awesome. I mean, you just don't see that a lot anymore, and you don't see people trying to grow. I mean, I see people that are, really good, really technical, knife skills, book sense, everything, they're really good, but they don't have the passion anymore, or they're burnt out. We have so many chefs that are burnt out. They've worked all these hours, but I'm going to start with you kind of in reverse, because the very first thing I saw with you is the words master chef. Now, I went and looked that up. I did. I looked at it, and from what I understand, there's only 62 currently in the United States. I saw two numbers. I saw an 82 and a 62, and I'm trying to figure out what that is. The reason why I say it, the numbers could be off a little, but guys listening, it is the bounty of a chef. It's regarded as being the top dog. It's regarded as being, this guy studied his butt off to get where he's at. You do not get there unless you spent the time. I mean, more than spending the time. I mean, you are practicing to make sure you're perfect. You've done some, you were on the culinary Olympic team as well, right?
Yeah, I was impressed. Let me just to clarify. So there's two versions of the master chef. So I'm what's called a world certified master chef through WACS, which is the World Association of Chef Society, and the American Culinary Federation, which is in America. We have a great relationship and partnership with them. So I have the world one, which I just got, I think 2 years ago. There is the ACF, so the American Culinary Federation has the CMC, which is a certified master chef. And I'm not 1,000% sure on the number. I think it's about 72 now. And then there's some certified master pastry chefs, a lot less. That one I do not have, and not yet. It's one, I'm still reaching for that goal. I did take the exam. It's an 8-day exam. It's been changed a little bit, but you have to kind of pass every day to keep progressing. I made it pretty close to the end, and had a bad day when you're not allowed to have bad days.
No,
But
right?
it's something I'm still working on. I'm involved in the program. I'm approved to take the exam, so that's one of my future goals. So I do have one of them. I don't have the other one.
Okay.
And the American Culinary Federation one, the ACF one, that's my ultimate goal. It's something that I've looked up to since I found out what it was, and so many of my mentors are certified master chefs, and I just have such a respect for that process and what they do and how much they give back. So that's important to me.
Yeah. Just off the cuff, you wouldn't happen to know David Ivy Soto?
Yeah, very well. Yeah, we were
Yeah,
in DC
really?
together, and we ran the ACF local chapter together. We were both officers at the same time. I've known him for probably
Okay.
20 years.
That's awesome. He's been
Yeah,
a friend of mine over the years. I would say right around 20 years.
he's a good man.
Back and forth. We've went to dinners, we've been to shows, we've been to the ACF. And I call him an educator,
Very much so.
just an incredible soul. I mean, the man has I love him from the bottom and top of my heart. He's willing to give the shirt off his back, and he's willing to share anytime you're ready or want to listen. That's who he is.
No, that 100%. That's absolutely David. 100%.
Yeah. So going there, so then let's go straight into the Culinary Olympics. What was that like?
Well, I started competing when I was in DC. When I first got there, I did a local competition.
Mhm.
Really didn't know what I was doing. I thought it'd be a lot of fun. I talked to a couple of chefs who kind of gave me some pointers. So I went and competed. It was the Chesapeake Chef Challenge, it was called, run by the Baltimore chapter there.
Mhm.
And it was my first competition. And then, for good or bad, I managed to actually win. Because then it kind of got me really hooked into it. I was like, wow, this was really fun.
Yeah.
So then I really dove in really hard, and started looking for competitions, and met amazing friends. And we drove to Michigan, and from DC to Michigan. We drove from DC to like number of cities in Ohio, and we drove Myrtle Beach. We drove all over the place. I think I've competed about 50. I think I have about 55 times, 50 medals. But along the way, I learned and I started to see this thing called the the National Culinary Olympic Team through the ACF. Never heard of it before I started. But so every 4 years, the German Chefs Association runs what we everyone refers to as the Culinary Olympics. It's the IKA. It's got a long name in German. My German is horrible, but it's every 4 years. It's in Stuttgart, and then the opposite. Every 2 years, there's the International Culinary World Cup in Luxembourg. So the ACF forms a team for 4 years, just like the Olympics for sports. You're on the team, you do 4 years, you compete in that. There's six chefs. Usually it's one or two pastry chefs, and then 4 to 5 that work the savory kitchen. And there's two different competitions. There's a Restaurant of Nations where you do a three-course meal for 100. And then there's the chef's table now where you're going to do a multi-course dinner for 8. So, I remember watching it and seeing the pictures and these guys that I like looked up to. There was, Ed Leonard and Joachim Buchner and Russell
Mhm.
Scott and, Rich Rosendale, all good friends and
I know
mentors
Rich
of mine
really
and
well.
incredibly inspiring people. And I remember seeing pictures of their food, and not only could I not figure out how to make it, I didn't even know what it was most of the time, right?
Right?
But I kept following along and following along, and then it came a time, and so for the 2020 team, so back in 2016, I guess, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go try out for the team. So I submitted my package, got invited to try out, which was incredibly honored to do that. Went to the tryouts, and wasn't successful. I didn't have a great time. I was doing stuff that wasn't really used to doing. Learned a ton. And then, about 6 months later, there an opening on the team happened, and I got called by Chef Raymond Pitts, who was the manager, asked me to drive down to Richmond and try out again. So I did. I went down, had a much better day, knew what I was trying to do this time, and was able to execute it, and was offered a spot on the team. So I got to go with them to Luxembourg to compete in the International World Cup. And it was, I mean, what incredible. I mean, you're on this,
Yeah.
you're representing your country. I got
Yeah.
to walk into the Parade of Nations carrying the American flag. And,
Wow.
I kind of just got a little goosebumps right now thinking about that day. No, I did. So I went through that. I was on the team for a year and a half. I had moved jobs, and my job unfortunately wasn't able to support the time frame. The time commitment to the team is incredible. Every month, you guys get together for like 3 to 4 days, but beyond that, it's we always say it's at least an hour a day, even if it's just thinking about it, but it's
Yeah.
multiple hours every week working,
Yep.
getting ready for practice. You're packing, you're cooking, you're mise en placing, coming back, you got to unpack, you got to jump right back into your job. So, you get a ton of support from my family had to put up with me gone for 4 days every single month, basically for 6 years, so I went through that process and it was great, but I didn't get to do the actual Olympics. So I knew I wanted to do that. So when they started forming the 2020 team, I went for the tryout again. This was during COVID, so it was really interesting. We were two separate tryouts, so like 1 month here and 1 month there. Wearing a mask in the kitchen and cooking and flying with all your stuff. It was definitely unique. But I made the team and got on it, and um, you know, for 4 years we did I got to do the World Cup again for the second time in the and then the Olympics, and it was incredible. I can't. One of the best things I've ever done in my career, and we joke about it on the team. And someone had told me this that, you're on the team for 4 years, but like those 4 years on the team is like 10 years in your career of learning. It's kind of like
Absolutely.
dog years.
Yeah.
I spent, I probably spent a year just like we all have components on every plate and dish together. And I think I spent a year for the World Cup on just working on this carrot dish. And then the next time it was like potato. I had to make this potato
I
part,
believe it, man.
and it was like 9 months of all I did was potatoes. In fact, I flew to Germany with 100 pounds of potatoes in my suitcases because we wanted to have the exact potato we wanted. So I, like, sorted through potato, packed 100 pounds of potatoes, and flew them on Delta all the way to Germany. So
Kids out there that's listening, understand two things about what this chef has been telling us, Chef Tim. That is all about passion. A lot of things that we don't see or do today. Our kids, my kids,
thank
try,
you.
try again.
Yes.
Try again. Try again. So now to me, a lot of our failures because you tried one time. You have to be able to fail to win. If you're not willing to fail, you can't win. We're fortunate enough to have passion and a deep passion that's never going to go away. I got fire in my chest. I mean, when I cook for my wife, we do three or four, we do 5-course meals sometimes laying it out. Everybody teases my wife she'll put on Facebook, what did my chef cook for me tonight? She's got a little thing. So she's got a insider with the chef. Are you married?
Yeah, my wife's actually a very good cook. So she cooks more at home just because of my hours. But I still love doing it. Like I cook at home as much as I can. And my son, he's 11, my youngest, and he's a little into it. Not that he wants to be a chef, and I don't want him to be. I want him to find something that he loves as much as I do to live. But his birthday's coming up, and he requested brisket, so we're gonna smoke a brisket together on Monday.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I love cooking at home, and yeah, we'll have dinner parties, and I'll turn around and my wife and I'll just be like, "All right, how many people are coming, and how many am I make? What am I making?" And we've had parties right at my house where she's had 40 people come. It was like, but we have a
I'll
great
take
time
care
doing
of
it.
it. I'll take care
Yeah,
of it.
yeah,
I said I haven't been to a wedding in 20 years because they asked me to do it.
yeah.
When it's family, hey Joe, you can cater. No, I want to go sit down somewhere, enjoy the wedding. But
We have a chef, though. You never say no. You always end up doing it
right,
anyway.
absolutely, never
Yeah.
say no. But over that, and I can hear it right now, man. What I guess what gives you the passion? What keeps it from going? You've been in the business, we've been there long, we've been there years. How do you keep doing it? I know a lot of people that are passionate about their job, they're happy about this, but you're still going to hear them complain a whole lot. Now, I'm not saying you or I or anybody hasn't complained or had upside day, bad sides or went in the walk-in and cried, whatever it is. But passion lasts for, to me, it burns in your soul. How do you find that?
I think I actually enjoy cooking now more, I think, than when I was younger, and I enjoy the process of it. And like I have things that I'm really getting really obsessed with, and I'm really into butchery, and I buy whole animals from local farms and fish from a spear fisherman, and you know, um, Charcuterie is something I really love from,
Nice.
pate en croûte. And, I got into homemade pasta and bought a bunch of stuff in Italy and rolling it out with the Mattarello, that kind of thing. I always like to learn something new. So when I see something I don't know how to make, I was like, I want to make that. So I really do that. I think you said a lot, passion is there and everyone has passion. And I think I have it all the time. But, yeah, there are bad days here and bad days every day. We all have them. And one thing I think is, uh, and I've been fortunate, pretty much every job I've had, I've loved having. There's been one or two that I was like, it's not a good fit. You don't have to love your job, but I think you got to love your profession to make it through this
Yeah,
business.
absolutely.
And then beyond passion, like, there are some days you're just not passionate. Some days you're just not into it. And you gotta have more than passion. It's the discipline and the drive to keep trying to do it. And not stopping. You talked about failure. That's it. I mean, you have no ego when it comes to failure. You gotta fail fast. You're gonna fail, you take your hit, and then you gotta go, okay, what do I do? And you move on to the next thing and put it behind you. Someone told me once you gotta liken it to like an actor. Like, they don't film the scene one time, right? They
Yeah.
film that scene 30 times and redo the same line over and over and over. So, maybe you make mashed potatoes 100 times before you feel where it gets right. Um, but part of the passion too is it's always different. Everything here,
Yeah.
the days are never boring, right? There's
Yeah.
there's always something new, and you get that instant gratification. If you make a dish and you serve it to somebody, it's gone in like 10 minutes. Like, it's over. What you make is gone out of the world. But if you made somebody happy with food you cook, you know right away whether you did a good job. And that's pretty great. Not every job gets that. So I think that's a big part of it too.
I absolutely love that that saying. The reason why I got into culinary is my mother, real southern chef, cast iron skillets, cornbread, the old white bean cornbread, baked beans, and I saw her. And it literally is what turned it. My mom would bring food in the room, and when I was little, I'd look around and everybody'd start smiling and talking, and
Oh yeah.
oh, look at that, look at that. As a little boy, I was like, I want to be a part of that. I get to make people happy. I
Absolutely.
was like, this is what I love. Look at them smiling. And that's where I first knew, man, I want to do what mom does. Mom makes people happy, and that's what brought me into our world.
Oh yeah. No, try to remember, and I've told cooks, we're pretty lucky. We get to feed people, like we make them happy. Sean Brock gave a talk at I was at some conference or convention. I don't even know which one it was, but I remember Sean Brock was speaking, and he goes, when you take away all the garnishes and the microgreens and all the extra stuff we're doing, trying to make this really unique thing, at the end of the day, we're just trying to make someone feel good eating food like their grandma did. That kind of, I think hopefully that speaks to every chef. We're not trying to be on TV. We're never going to get rich doing this. Sure, there's a couple famous chefs, but what we create is gone. What we're trying to create is that feeling, whether it's an old feeling or a new one. You want to make somebody feel good about it.
But yeah, so true. So we spent our lives in culinary, in this world, in this environment. So I remember, obviously, where it was a badge of honor to work 90 hours. It was a badge of honor to be burnt out. It was a badge of honor to show your biggest scar. I mean, in the kitchen, who got burnt, who got cut. And it was, as I say, Anthony Bourdain said it best when he said, we're all misfits. We found a home in the kitchen. And we're just a bunch of misfits, got together and liked each other and found a home. Found a home because maybe we're all misfits that actually came together and kind of formed a family. Today, how do you feel that that's changed? And what advice would you give to a new chef with passion, but brand new, has said all his life, I want to be in culinary, hasn't been in culinary, is thinking about it? What advice would you go with?
I think there's two parts there. So yeah, things have changed a lot. I went through, I started a long time ago, and it was definitely a tougher place. And, I wasn't really treated poorly in my recollection. I was always treated respectfully, but it was harder. It was tougher, I think. And it's not that I'm saying it's just different. People are different these days. We look for different things. We need it to change. I think COVID really changed a lot. You know, you were never calling out sick. You never did. You went to work and we should not have gone to work, right? There's no way we should be at
None
work.
of us should.
Sick. Yeah, but you had to. There was really not a choice. nowadays, especially after COVID, people would call in. It's like, "Chef, I have a fever. I'm not coming to work. I gotta stay home." And you deal with it. So we needed to change. I think it's important, and we are, and we're more respectful, I think, to people now, and hopefully, I am. I know, probably back in the day, I probably didn't treat people as well as I should have. Hopefully I've made amends for that and doing it now. And but it's I think between the passion and the pressure, and it was kind of allowable.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have been. But now we're here today, and the kitchens are different. There've always been a lot of minorities or immigrants in the kitchen. I don't remember the number, but at one point, I think the Culinary Institute of America had over 50% female students. It's a different world than it was 10, 15 years ago. You can't behave that way anymore. Also, I think we're professionals. I run a kitchen. It's like a $6.5 million business. And I got 50 to 60 people working for me that depend on me for their living and safety and everything. You can't run it like a pirate ship anymore. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Um, and I found it's much easier. The work gets done better, everyone's happier, and there's less stress. Yeah, and I don't believe in FaceTime anymore. I work really hard to take my days off. I want my guys to get their days off. There are days that are longer than others, because the demand of the business, so you work when you need to work, but, no one's productive at 100 hours a week. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
No one's happy. That's when people leave the business, and we've struggled with people in this business for decades, right? It's always tough getting good people, and then holding on to them. So, you know, there is change. I think more is coming. I think we're adjusting and moving into the regular world a little bit. Also, I think important for younger people to understand is this is a tough business. Like I said, it's a great profession. It's a lousy job. If you're just doing this to make a check, it's a tough way to make a living.
It's tough.
Construction, it's physical, it's mentally stressful. The hours
Mhm.
are not great. Are you working holidays most of the time? And it's like that. Um, So I think you really gotta love it. You gotta have the passion for what you're doing. Um, but there's gonna be days you're gonna grind. But if you find a good kitchen that you feel respected and appreciated, you're gonna get a chance to learn and grow. I think that's a good home and a good place to start.
Go cry in the walk-in.
Yeah, you said about Anthony Bourdain. I
That's
remember.
always been the thing.
Yeah,
Yesterday, and let me ask you, because literally I heard this yesterday, Jeff Bezos, they were asking him about work-life balance, and he said, "Yeah, everybody nowadays wants a work-life balance, a work-life balance." He said, "It shouldn't be a work-life balance. It should be a happy balance at work and a happy balance at home. Because if I come home from my job, then my work-life balance got mad because I'm coming home mad. Imagine if I came home happy every day." And the
absolutely.
wife was this way, and we're together, and everybody was happy. We sat down at dinner. Or imagine if the wife had a great day, was so happy. Somehow the kids and the help, and she got off work or whatever she's doing, but she's happy. Guess what? If he's had a bad day, she can help him. I just thought that was very interesting to hear it that way, because you hear work-life balance every day.
Oh, yeah. No, and I think it's my opinion, people get the wrong impression of that it's always 50-50.
Yeah,
Like marriage, it's not 50-50 every day.
exactly.
I'm hoping it's 50-50 at the end of my life cycle, because there are weeks, especially now. I just started at my new club here a couple months ago. We just opened up season. I've been working a ton of hours, and it's going to catch up, and we'll be settling in. But so my wife has had to do a lot more. I mean, she has a job too, a career, and but she's done a lot more of the home stuff than I do. But then she travels for work. So there are times when she's away and I'm kind of, running the house with my son alone and doing my job. And then, it kind of shifts back the other way. Um, I think it's more of a life balance, not then, I don't separate work and life as much as other people, I guess. And maybe that's wrong. Being a chef is not just a job or profession. It is part of my life. It is part of
Yeah,
who I am.
it's the best
I'm a
place I've been as a
yeah.
family.
Yeah, I'm
We
a father,
share,
I'm a
we
husband,
share
I'm a
everything.
chef. Yeah. So, I think you have to kinda, and for me, I look at life balance as like a overall picture. So trying to, some days are heavier one way than the other. It's never gonna be even. So I try
Yeah.
to, like I said, hopefully at the end of my life it evens out, and I make the people that matter to me proud and happy, and then I'll figure I did my job.
I can't say, I mean, that was just a great way to say it. It really is a great way to say it. And it is. So imagine I went and spoke at a culinary school the back of a year or two. And afterwards, I came out and I was asking the question, what would you like to do with yours? What would you like to do? And I'm going to go with somewhere around 75%. I want to open my own restaurant. I want to own my restaurant. I want to open my own restaurant tomorrow. And inside, you just kind of laugh if you've owned one, And then the rest of the people were saying, I want my own TV show. I'm going to be on the food. I'm here because I know I could be on. I didn't hear one passionate person
Yeah.
about our business. The world have sold our youth into thinking this is easy.
Yeah.
And I talk to kids and I'm like, do you have any idea what you're signing up for? I've had people come to me and go, I want to be a chef, but I've never worked in a kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to kill yourself. It's just not worth it. If you were talking to some kids, you were talking around, what advice would you give them?
No, I think absolutely. I would say go try it first before you commit to culinary school, before you commit everything to it. Give it a year or two. Because reality is, even coming out of culinary school, we talk about some of it. They already think they're chef. So you're going to come in and you're going to peel carrots for a couple of years. Like
Absolutely.
this job is a long term thing. And I would say don't chase the title and the money. We all want to be the chef right away, and I went too fast and I had to catch up.
Yeah.
There was a period where I had to go back and kind of relearn a lot of stuff. So that put me on pause for a little bit in the middle there. So take your time. Don't chase the money or title. But you're gonna work. And it's a tough business, I think. And then you also, I think, have to really, we already talked about failure. You gotta learn to deal with failure. It's when you make in our business, it's honest. If you make a mistake, you're gonna know it, and everyone else is gonna know it, and you're gonna get called out on it. There's no hiding. You
Yeah.
either did your work or you didn't. You either prepped up or you're either ready or you're not. So, when you walk into that kitchen, it doesn't matter what kind of day you're having, if you're tired or not, because they're coming in to eat. And that machine is going to still go, and the tickets are going to go. I didn't when I started out, we didn't have the Food Network, so like over the past few years, arguably we're chefs now at one of the greatest times in history to be in. Right, we're respected as professionals. There's amazing opportunities to be made, whether you're a private chef at a home now, or you can be a stylist, you could work in a magazine. So there's many more opportunities than just
Yeah.
restaurants. But when I started, it was that energy of working in the kitchen, working on the line or working saute, or eventually running the pass and calling tickets on a Friday night when everything's packed and it's like controlled chaos, that like dance on the line. That's what I got into it for first. But it's different. There's so many more opportunities, but I think you got to try it first. Because I can't think, if you spend a couple years in culinary school, and that's not inexpensive anymore, and
Yeah.
you come out and go and you work in your first real kitchen, and you hate it, and you can't imagine doing the rest of your life for that, you got to reset. And having to do that, take a year, go work in a restaurant, even a local one, and see if you like the lifestyle, because it's different than others. I've never worked in a place where I sat in a cubicle all day. I can't imagine doing that. But you
Who
know,
could?
yeah,
I think most chefs that have that passion for it, it's very hard for us to sit down. Even us sitting down for this podcast, I almost wanted to just stand up, because I figured, hey, he'll probably be standing up. I lean to eat.
yeah. Oh yeah, no. My boss, the GM here, he went to CIA and was a chef, an exec chef at a club. He usually comes in and eats lunch, and he usually eats it standing up over the. And I said something to him like, "You eat like a chef." He's like, "Yeah, I do it all the time." He's been doing it for.
Nice. Yep, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
So let's go into um, kitchen equipment in the back of the house, what down the line, what you're doing. We're seeing, obviously, I work for a company, Ovention Ovens. I'm their corporate chef. But we do, and what we're seeing more and more electrical kitchens with hoodless, ventless, meaning the operator now doesn't have to put a hood in. They can move the equipment. It's ventless. It's got closing heat. You can move it. It's that in square footage. Think of that going down. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, I love to cook on fire. If I'm on a range and I'm cooking on something, doing it this way. But with high-tech ovens, infrared ovens, different cooking, we see a lot, especially in downtown areas. anywhere there's that's the square footage cost $1 million.
Oh yeah.
Coming out of COVID, some of that other, you heard, oh, automation's going to be everywhere. And then as it went down, automation went from here to less talk to less talk to less talk, because the margins for these operators weren't there to be able to afford a piece of equipment. I know companies that are now refinancing to help that end user get to where they need to be. What do you see as equipment in the back of the house?
No, I think in a lot of ways, in the back house, we kind of, I say, yeah, I still love cooking on fire. It's still my favorite. But no, the Olympic team over in Europe, we did everything's on induction. We had to adjust to that. We're quick to adopt some technology and we're slow to adopt others. Like sous vide. We all do that. We have rationales now that are those style ovens, not just that one brand, but so you can do all sorts of great things and thermal mixes. I just got one of those recently. I still haven't figured it out, but I'm looking forward to it. But um, no, I think there's opportunities in different ways, and even ingredients. We started adopting hydrocolloids and things that we can use. And I remember talking to one of my mentors about it and asking, like, is it appropriate for me to use it and this and that? He's like, do you think Escoffier wouldn't do everything he could to make the food better? And that meant a lot to me. I think there's, it's worth looking at. The ventless stuff's something I've looked at before as I've opened up different places and clubs. And, I got a couple new restaurants coming online over the next couple of years and, looking at space and ways to maximize that and the efficiencies of it. And I've seen a few of the systems and there's things that, and so for me, as long as it's going to make what we do better, food wise, and make the experience better for the diner and for the kitchen, or what can we make better for this, then I think it's great. I think there's opportunities for this. The ventless stuff, especially, we look at that spaces, punching hoods. If you're going to renovate your kitchen or you're going to build something new, that's like the biggest hurdle when I look at adding equipment or swapping it out. Like, can we fit it under the hood? But if there's a ventless system that's gonna perform just as well, if not better,
Yeah.
those are really viable options, and I think that gives us a lot more opportunities to do more, maybe do more with the same staffing, make their jobs easier and better, and they can work more efficiently, and, we can do stuff that we couldn't do before. I think those are great. We adopted different things all the time. Like I said, the circulators, thermo mixes, Vitamixes, that are,
Yeah.
all, they're now just commonplace, and I think that, as technology goes and we adapt more and adopt it, really just to find ways to do our jobs better, those are good ways to move forward.
Yeah, I think you hit it when you said the fact is, do you need it? Is it going to make my food better? Is it going to speed up my ticket times? And when I'm talking to a customer about Ovention ovens, that's usually where I hit. Can I make it better? Can I improve your times to get it out? If I can't, I'm still going to go ahead and tell you, man, I can't. Or you know what? This thing over here works better than mine for this particular thing. We're coming to a close here. And what I want to do, and it's something I always do, Tim, is I do a quick fire round.
All right.
And the quick fire round, really what we want, is just the first word that comes to your mind.
All right.
Really, no real stories, nothing. Just what is it?
All right.
What's your favorite ingredient right now?
Domestic lamb.
One kitchen tool that you couldn't live without.
It'd have to be my Kramer chef knife.
Nice. I like it. Most underrated cooking technique.
Braising.
An ingredient that you're completely over. You're done with it.
Avocados.
What's your favorite guilty pleasure?
Cheeseburger and onion rings.
How about, are you a morning person or a night person?
Nowadays, I'm a morning person. I like the peaceful kitchen in the morning. I get stuff done before everybody gets in.
Yeah, we switched to that as we get older, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you weren't a chef, what would you be?
When I was in high school, the first thing I was going to try to be was a military officer, and it didn't happen.
Okay. If one dish that you wish you had created, one dish that you know of that you wish, man, I wish I had recreated that one.
Financially, I'd probably say the Big Mac, but otherwise, from a kitchen standpoint, I'd probably say braised short ribs.
Okay. Those are definitely good. Best advice you've ever received? Not giving, but what's the best advice that you've ever received?
You don't have to be talented. You just got to be the hardest worker in the room.
Wow. I had a buddy tell me the other week, Work so hard that you can't be unseen.
Absolutely. Nothing beats
I
hard
went,
work.
yeah, I went, that is beautiful. Work so hard that you can't be unseen. Just love that. One word for the kitchen climate for 2026.
Changing
Our world is changing and it's still changing. It's going to continue to change.
every day.
Now, we're about to end Saucy Bites, and I could talk to you forever. I could talk to you outside of this. So we welcome you back at some point. We're going to get these
Great.
out, but we would go more in depth a little bit, I think, and for the listeners that really want to hear about that stuff. And we'll get into some kitchen stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get into some of the things I would say. I will ask this as I'm slowing down because I got to ask it. What's the worst thing you've ever seen in a kitchen? Burned, cuts, whatever. What's the worst thing you've seen?
I haven't seen any really bad injuries, although I do remember when I call my apprenticeship. It wasn't an official one. So my first 2 years in the hotel I was working for, and we had a chef Tourneau who made a special, and it was on like Secretary's Day. They used to call it Secretary's Day back in the day. And we were getting hammered at lunch in the restaurant. And the special took way too long. It was like 3-pan pickup. And the exec chef for the hotel had to come on the line to help bail us out. And so there was all these saute pans going, and I was on the grill station. So the grill was here, the wall was here, saute was next to me, and he tasted the sauce the guy was making. Must not have been up to standard. All he did, he picked up the saucepan, looked at me and said, "Duck." And I did, and he threw the saucepan full of food at the wall, flashed all over, up onto the ceiling, and everybody turned around like nothing happened. And I was like, okay, I guess this is all right. And I just sat there. Nobody cleaned it off the wall for like a week because everyone was afraid to do anything.
Touch it.
Finally, he walked by and he goes, "Somebody clean that." And it got done right away.
Got it.
Never happened today, but I remember that vividly.
Absolutely. Yeah, you always remember that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, this is Saucy Bites. We've got Ovention Ovens who's sponsoring us. Guys, go out and check them out as well because you're going to see a lot of equipment that you haven't seen before, technology and innovation. But come back and see us because we're going to be back right next week talking to another chef, talking to somebody in our business. So, Tim, again, I can't thank you as much for your time. I mean, this was awesome. So good seeing you, and thanks for your time again.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.